Hello, I'm Jane Turner from writewithjane.com, and I'm here with Karen Stein to look at her great book, Be Your Own Leadership Coach. So welcome, Karen.
Thanks, Jane. Thanks for having me.
Now, tell me, what is it about this leadership question that prompted you to write the book?
Well, I felt quite strongly about it being an executive coach. So I'm in a very privileged position where I'm coaching people to be of their best. And I really do enjoy working with individuals to try and assist them to reach their goals or to affect change, whatever it is that they're trying to do. But after doing it for a period of time, I did realize that I was working with a privileged few. So either those who were in the room or those who were on Zoom. And the ability to access a coach was really going to be limited to those. So not everybody can have access to a coach. Even those who have a coaching program, the programs are, short in length. After a period of time, they come to an end. And certainly even with a coach, the coach is not sitting next to you when you're facing a challenge. So I wanted to increase the equity of access to coaching strategies by writing a book which would assist people with building their self-coaching muscles. And when they have those, they can actually fill a virtual backpack of strategies and each day leave the house with that backpack on and feel really comforted and feel resourceful and able to support themselves so that they could be of their best. And when they're their best or better self, then they're better able to also be their best or better self as they lead other people. So it has a terrific well-being impact, and it's something that stretches to many more than those who just have a coach. And even if you do have a coach in between sessions, you should be also building your coaching muscles around that self-coaching. So you can return to your coach and have a more nuanced conversation. And the ripple effect, everybody's improved well-being is going to be far-reaching.
And it's that idea too, isn't it? That, you don't stop developing and growing. Why be settling for solving one problem in the leadership sphere? And you may not even call it a problem. Let's call it a strength. You're building strength as you go.
Yes.
So, it's almost like an endless endeavor, isn't it? And a book, you've got it with you. You've got it in your bag. You've got it by the side of the bed or whatever. So I love the way you've structured the book, and you're giving people time to pause and reflect. And that's a really great strategy. What are your favourite parts of the book from that point of view?
Well, I've written it with that in mind because self-coaching is very much about finding the time to stop and pause and reflect and start to learn from that. So there are pause markers within the book, and each chapter starts off with a story. It brings to life what the chapter's about. Storytelling is very powerful to enable people to stand in the shoes of the individual or to get the feeling associated with what the story is, to take them on a bit of a journey. Some of them will relate to it and think, oh, that could be me. And other times they'll see individuals they're working with and think, aha, I've seen that happen before. How did I react? So using stories brings it to life. And then I've tried to write it with a theoretical base. So it's research-based, evidence-based from the field of positive psychology. But what I wanted it to be was something very practical. So within each chapter, there's self-coaching strategies, there's areas to stop and pause and reflect and practice. And it might be that you're building out some new skills as you go. So at the end of each chapter, it also gives you a summary of the self-coaching strategies that you've just learned. So the book can be used in its entirety. My hope is that people read the book in its fullness, but it's also written in a way that you'll go back to it. So there'll be specific chapters, specific learnings that you want to go back and reinforce or redo some of those self-coaching strategies to better those skills, build those strengths, and you'll be able to make use of it and access it, but also use it with others. So you could learn for yourself. And then I've got some people who are working with their teams and saying, okay, we're going to read chapter 8. We're going to look at our listening skills. Everybody have a think about the reflections that come from that chapter. And then together we'll try and assess what are the obstacles, what are the barriers, how can we support each other to build our own skills. So it has a nice application for the individual and for teams.
And of course, you do a lot of work in the corporate world. I'm a business person myself, and a lot of the people who are writing books through me are business people. They're coaches, consultants, and what have you. And I found in particular, I'm looking down because I've got my own copy.
Yeah, fabulous.
But, finding a support crew,
Yes.
I think that's really important. Would you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, yeah, I think it's hugely important. Too often individuals are working through their careers leading on their own. And it's really important that we work out who, I refer to it as our personal board of directors. Who are the people around you, those stakeholders that are going to be in support of you towards your success, towards your best self or better self? And so I've focused on 4. I focused on identifying your coach, your mentor, your advocate, and also your reciprocal mentor. And in those people, you'll build out the trust, but you'll also identify through the book how those people have different roles. So a coach will be somebody who explores and discovers with you and questions you and helps build out your self-awareness and almost taking a reflective stance to help you see more of yourself so you can have a deeper understanding of who you are, what you represent, the behaviors, the emotions and the cognitions and the impact which they have. So you're allowing yourself to make more informed choices by learning more and discovering more for yourself and moving towards the goals or the skills or strengths that you're trying to build. A mentor is somebody who you're going to for advice. So rather than question, they're going to tell you what to do. They're the ones who you're basing it on their lived experience or their life experience to say, look, this is my concern or my problem. What would you do in this situation? And they'll be the ones who give you the insight to say, why don't you tackle it like this, this, and this, speak to this person, and you should be right. So that's opening your mind to what else is possible through their lived experience. And that can be very powerful. An advocate is someone who'll take that even further. They'll be the ones who champion your name in the room when you're not there. They'll look out for opportunities for you and be able to identify when they can pull you through to allow you to have more experiences, more opportunities, to gain more eminence, more skills, broader networks, those types of things. And there's a number of studies which actually show those who have not only coaches and mentors, but also advocates tend to advance more quickly through their careers and also have high rates of pay, which is also interesting.
Indeed.
And then a reverse mentor is one who's sitting within your team, but might not be as high up in the team as you. And they have a different perspective to offer you. They see you in action. So they can see how you're working with the team and they can provide you with insights, which can be super. I mean, it's often the more senior you get, often the quieter it is. So the more you can have people who are talking to you and helping and supporting you and letting you know of your impact, the easier it will be for you to develop through your career.
And now you do work with women in particular, and women as they're, getting wiser, let's say. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Well, in the role that I currently have, I'm an executive coach leading the women's program for Deloitte partners in Australia. And so I coach a significant number of women partners and try and assist them with living their best lives and having long-term sustainable careers as leaders of the firm. And in addition to that, I'm also a co-leader of the Managing Menopause in the Workplace Working Committee. And through that, in the last year, we've been building out offerings, one of which has been to build out group coaching to try and support women to thrive through their menopause rather than simply survive. So that's been quite joyous in bringing women together and using the collective wisdom of group coaching to support them so that they can identify different ways of being in support of themselves and others. And outside of the work that I do within Deloitte, I also work with Dress for Success. I do voluntary work with them, supporting women coming back into the workplace, and also volunteer with the Bambuddha group, who's a social enterprise, and we look at the construct of kindness in leadership. So I'm coaching C-suite leaders, not-for-profits, to try and assist them with looking at setting kind business objectives, making opportunities for a greater number of people, a diverse range of people, speaking with kindness, thinking with kindness, acting with kindness, and so on. So that's also a fabulous opportunity to engage with another part of our community.
I think that's wonderful. Is there potentially a book on the kindness aspect of this?
I hadn't considered a book, but kindness is hugely underrated. I do have a chapter. My favorite and last chapter of the book is kindness in leadership. Who knows? Maybe in time, I think we could do with a lot more kindness in the way that we act and be in the world. So it's absolutely something which I try and bring into the way that I live my life and the way that I engage, not only in the workplace, but outside of the workplace. And it just brings such joy and pleasure. I actually did a little personal trial a few years ago of a year of living kindly. And I had heard a radio show where they were trying to do 1,000 good deeds. And I thought, oh, that's fascinating. So every time I'd drive home, I'd listen to this and, be quite excited as I went over the Harbour Bridge in Sydney on the way home, hearing about these good deeds. And it inspired me. I thought, wow, I'd like to contribute. And, being the good driver I wasn't able to pick up my phone and dial in. I didn't have the hands free. So I was thinking to myself as I listened to other people's good deeds, how could I have such an impact? So I decided 1,000 was probably too big for an individual. I think they got up to, it was definitely over 1,200 good deeds in 3 weeks. I decided to try and live a year of living kindly. And every day I would have an act of kindness that was external and more than business as usual. And that was fabulous. It was fascinating in what I could find I could do to have an act of kindness to people I knew, but also people I didn't know. and how it also made me feel. So I felt so much more enriched, and my mind went to places, in thinking that I hadn't contemplated before. So it brought me a lot of happiness, a lot of joy, a lot of light. And it's just a nice way to be each day, is to kind of looking outwardly towards a kind of presence.
I love that. Look, we could talk on and on and on and on, but what I'd like to get from you is, where's the best place for people to contact you?
Oh, the easiest place would be on LinkedIn. I'm a big user of LinkedIn. I like to have a bit of a chat, a conversation. So please feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn. I also have a book website, KarenSteinCoaching.com. And there you'll find more about me, about my book, about podcasts like this, and articles that I've been writing. So I welcome you to join me there too.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate your time.
My pleasure.